Okay, guys, in this video, you're going to learn the graph of inverse sine function, the domain and range of inverse sine functions, and also I'm going to sketch the graphs of the sine and inverse sine functions into one rectangular coordinate system para maipakita ko sa inyo that the graphs of f and f to the negative 1 are reflections of each other across the line y equals x. Okay? At yung graph ng ating sine function na ituro ko na sa inyo, including the domain and range no, ditong mga previous lessons natin. But for now, magkameron tayo ng konting review kung paano ba o kung ano ba equivalent graph ng sine function or y equals x. Okay? Now, meron na tayong mga x values dito, i-determine lang natin yung y value. Okay? If x is equal to negative 2 pi using our sine function here, sine negative 2 pi is equal to 0 kasi yung kanyang terminal side is along the positive x-axis. So, 0 doon ang ating y. Okay? And sine negative 3 pi over 2, so negative 3 pi over 2, positive y-axis siya, so we have 1. Okay? And sine negative pi, so nasa negative x-axis siya, so 0. Sine negative pi over 2, so that is equivalent to negative 1. Sine 0 is 0. Yan, ginagamit natin. Sine pi over 2 is 1. Sine pi is 0. Sine 3 pi over 2 is negative 1. And sine 2 pi is 0. So, kung ipa-plot natin yung mga points na yan, yung ordered pairs na yan, ganito siya, no? So, negative pi is 0, ito. And then, negative 3 pi over 2, 1. Dito sa taas. Negative pi 0 here. And then, negative pi over 2, negative 1. Somewhere here. And then, 0, 0. Nasa ating origin. Pi over 2, 1 here. And then, pi 0 here. Sine 3 pi over 2, negative 1 here. And 2 pi 0. So, sketch natin yung graph niya. So, pag ganito. Oops. Oops. Yeah. Oops. 3 pi over 2, negative 1 here. So, ito yung graph ng ating sine function. Natutunan ninyo yan, no? Itong mga previous lessons natin. Now, sabi natin doon sa ating topic in general mathematics na inverse function, dapat siya ay 1-to-1 para magkameron ng inverse sine function. At para maging 1-to-1 function, kailangan mapas niya yung horizontal line test and vertical line test. Okay? So, pag nagpas tayo dito ng vertical line test, pasado siya sa ipa function. Para malaman kung siya ay 1-to-1 function, magpapas tayo ng horizontal line. So, pag nagpas tayo dito ng horizontal line, bagsak siya. So, ibig sabihin, this is not a 1-to-1 function. At pag hindi siya 1-to-1 function, wala siyang inverse function. Okay? Tingnan natin na yung horizontal line test. Nag-intersect siya sa how many points? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, dapat para maging 1-to-1, magpas siya sa isang point lamang. So, sa makatuwid, if we're going to consider negative 2 pi to pi, nung graph ng ating sine functions, bagsak siya sa horizontal line test. At hindi siya 1-to-1 function. Siya ay many-to-1 function. So, anong gagawin natin para magkameron siya ng inverse function? So, i-restrict natin yung kanyang domain. Okay. Paano natin i-restrict? We're just going to consider this part of the graph of the sine function. Ito lang. Ito yung ating restricted domain. Yan. Okay? Kapag yan ang restricted domain natin, ito yung ating anong coordinates nito? Ang coordinates nito ay negative pi over 2, negative 1. Ito naman ay pi over 2, 1. So, pag ni-restrict natin yung domain from -1 to 1, magiging 1 to 1 function na siya. Okay? So, ito yung ganyan. Tagal natin to. So, consider lang natin ay yung part na yon. Okay? Yan. So, ito lang. Yan yung ating restricted domain. From -1 to 1 only. At kapag yan lang ang ating domain, magiging 1 to 1 function na siya. Pag 1 to 1 function, may equivalent na siyang inverse function. Okay? So, ang domain talaga ng sine function is from -infinity to +infinity. At ang kanyang range ay from -1 to 1. So, ang restricted domain natin is from -pi/2 to pi/2. Okay? So, yun ating restricted domain. Domain of f is from inclusive -pi/2, pi/2. Ito yung ating restricted domain para maging 1 to 1 function yung ating y equals sine x. Ang range niya of the function is from -1 to 1. Now, kaya natin restrict yung domain para yung ating function na si y equals sine x ay maging 1 to 1. At kapag ito lang kinonsider natin, graph the function, and we pass a horizontal line that will intersect this graph of the function y equals sine of x, it will intersect only at a single point. So, therefore, magiging 1 to 1 function na siya. At kapag 1 to 1 function na siya, meron na siyang equivalent inverse function. Okay. Now, kung ito ang domain natin, we're just going to consider these points, ano? Ay yung set of points na to. Okay? So, sabi natin, kapag ang domain of the function f is -pi/2, pi/2, yun naman ang equivalent range ng ating inverse function. And again, yung ating inverse function for sine is f to the -1 of x equal to sine to the -1 of x, or the same as y equals, it's the same as y equal to the -1 of x equal to arc sine x, which means that sine y is equal to x. Okay. Now, so ang kanyang y value magiging x value, at ang kanyang x value magiging y values. So, ganito mangyayari. So, this will become -pi0 or 0 to -pi, -1 to -pi/2, 0, 0, and then 1 pi/2. Now, graph natin yung set of points na to dito sa isang Cartesian plane natin. 0, -pi. Oh, sala. Teka, ito lang pala. Pasobra. Ang ating domain lang, i-consider ito. So, from here lang. Yan natin yung points na to. So, we have -1, -pi/2. So, -1, -pi/2 here. Hindi na ako naglagay ng points sa pagitan. So, we have 0, 0, 1 pi/2 here. So, pag ganito yung graph ng ating inverse sine function. Yan. Okay. So, ito yung ating inverse sine function. So, kung i-connect natin, magpa-plot din natin dito yung ating f of x or sine function with a restricted domain. Papansin natin, 1 to 1 siya. Reflections yung kanilang graphs dun sa ating y equals x. Okay? So, plot natin. So, ito ay, kung natin muna yung points nito. Ito ay 1 pi over 2. Here is negative 1, negative pi over 2. And then, yung ating, ito, sabihin natin ay 3.14 here. Pi over 2 is 1 point something. Let's say this is pi over 2. And this here, negative pi over 2. So, ito, negative pi over 2, 1. Negative pi over 2, let's say this is 1. This 1, negative pi over 2, 1. So, ito siya. Negative pi over 2, negative 1 here. Then 0, 0 dito rin. And then pi over 2, 1. So, pi over 2, 1 here. So, papaganito naman siya. Okay. So, here. Then, here. Okay. So, ito si y equals sine x. Ito namang isa ay si y equals sine to the negative 1x. Sine to the negative 1x. So, ito, extend pa doon. Ito. Pero restricted yung domain natin. So, ito yung ating y equals x nandito. So, reflective nga siya. O reflections yung graphs ng f of x at saka f to the negative 1x dun sa ating y equals x. Okay? So, yan yung graphs ng ating inverse sine function. Now, ano yung domain niya? So, ang domain nito is yung range nito. So, negative 1 to 1. At ang range naman ni inverse function ay domain naman ni sine function. So, that is negative pi over 2 pi over 2. Okay? So, yun lang yung range niyang inverse function natin. At ang values lang niya, domain niya is from negative 1 to 1. So, therefore, we can say that doon sa ating inverse function, ito siya. Inverse sine function. Okay. Itong si y equals sine to the negative 1x. Or ito yung tinatawag natin, y equals arc sine x. That is, ito yung x equals sine y. For y values of negative pi over 2 less than or equal to pi, y less than or equal to pi over 2. So, tandaan yan, ang range lang po ng ating y, the values of y is from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2 for inverse sine function. Okay? Tandaan, for inverse sine function, ang ating pong values lamang is ranging from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. At ang values ng x niya is from negative 1 to 1 only. So, thank you. On my next video, I'm going to illustrate naman yung inverse of cosine function. Thank you.